Hello Linux lovers, my name's Wimpy. Good morning, how you all doing? Hope you've got a cup of tea. I really need this today. Right, okay, so yesterday we were working through some changes to the Ubuntu MATE build process for the Raspberry Pi images. And today, oh man, I can already see, hello Popey, good morning. I can already see that you've set off the thing and it hasn't worked. And this is disappointing. Let's just try it myself. They're not firing and I don't know why. Oh man, I'm gonna... No, it's not you breaking it. For reasons that I don't know, Atom has stopped doing its thing. So I will have to have a chat to the devs and figure out what's going on there. Everything looks right. How very sad. Okay, well I'll do the disabling all of the channel point redemptions. Hopefully that works at least. It does, so that at least people can't accidentally trigger them. Right, I'll have to have a chat to Dust later. Right then, hello, good morning. Hello Popey, hello Danny, hello Takov, welcome back. So, we're gonna, yeah, I know, disappointed, very disappointed. Never mind, we'll plow on. So, I'm gonna run through, Danny's had version 3. I'm up for version 3 as well soon. Yeah, I phoned in for mine. I've got mine booked. Yeah. So you didn't sleep. Oh dear. Okay. Yes, it is unusual for you to be awake this time of day, Danny. Never mind. So I'm going to do some testing with Ubuntu MATE on the Raspberry Pi because we switched up the build process, mostly based on what I've learned from sort of optimizing what was called Retro Remix, and we'll get to that in a little bit. So the first thing to do is over here is the build script, and I have just built an image for ARM64, so we'll just save that for ARM HF. Flip over to the VM where we run our builds and kick off a new build. My password is test, by the way, and that should go through the whole build process for the ARM HF images as well. So we'll let that cook, and whilst that's cooking we can go and do a first run through of the ARM64 image and see how that checks out. So one of the benefits of the new build process is the images are about 100 megs smaller, which, you know, is okay. So down from 1.7 to 1.6 gig for the, you know, the compressed image. Still requires at least an 8 gig SD card to sort of be usable. But also there was some unusual stuff that had been pulled in sort of by accident into the images. And that, by removing that, the startup times are a little bit improved. And we've also included Raspberry config as well in this build. So I'm hoping that if all this checks out and works nicely, then this will be the beta 2 image and hopefully like the last iteration of this test cycle, because I'm super keen to get on to the retro stuff. That's really where my mind is right now. So got some interesting things going on there, and we'll touch on that a little bit later on. But I suppose the first thing to do is we'll pull the SD card, or say the SD card. This is USB SSD out of the back of the Pi. We'll jam that in the top of this computer, and then we'll flip back to this VM that does all the building. There's one other change here. So we've now got Apt Caching baked into the build process. So if I just refresh that, I've run the build twice this morning. So you can set twice on ARM64 this morning. So you can see here that it served up 2.8 gig, but fetched 1.4 gig. So to build an image, there's 1.4 gig, more or less, of packages that it needs to suck down. And at the moment, it's pulling down the ARM HF build. So all of this stuff is being cached as well. So the benefit of this is that when I'm iterating, particularly on the Retro Remix at the moment, that you know, rebuild time for the different stages is significantly increased now, because there's no downloading of packages on the second or more runs. They're all cached locally. So this whole building inside a VM thing, this has actually worked. This was kind of from necessity, but it's actually turned out to be a really nice way to do these kinds of builds, having a dedicated VM, albeit with, you know, it's chock full of cores and RAM and disk space, but nevertheless it's a nice environment to get that stuff done. Hello Paul, welcome back. How you doing today? What exotic brand of tea are you drinking this morning? So let's go and write our image out. So here is where the images get dumped, and in fact here's the build directory. So if we look at ARMHF, which is in progress at the moment, we can see that this is for Ubuntu MATE and then the version of Ubuntu MATE, and then these are the cache directories for the stages. So this is you can see here, this is what Deb Bootstrap caches. So it caches once in Apt Cacher, but it also caches on local disk here as well. So for the Deb Bootstrap piece, it doesn't even have to do the HTTP request to the Apt Cacher. It can just go to this directory and suck everything in from there. So it's like double cached. And then in these initial directories, you can see the boot file system and the root file system developing as they go through each of the stages. So at the moment it's still bootstrapping, so I don't think it'll have anything. Yeah, it's not got anything in these later stages yet. So this is all working rather well, and then it deposits the built images in here. So here is our uncompressed image for 64-bit for the Pi. So that's the one we'll put on the USB disk, and I think, yeah, so I'm using in the VM, I'm doing USB pass through to that that stick. So we can just do image writer and deposit that on the USB. So I'm very happy with how all of these tools have sort of come together. It's worked out rather well. So an Assam tea today, Paul. Very nice too. Oh well, I'm delighted to hear that I'm headlining above Sting. That's the first and last time that's going to happen, I imagine. So let's have a little think. So something else we're going to get to later is you may have heard me talk about Retro Remix, depending on whether or not you've tuned in recently. Been putting a lot of effort in there, and Popey and I have had a chat this morning, and we're going to switch things up a little bit with that, and I'll get to that once we've got this install running. We'll go and do some things regarding Retro Remix, but I'm very pleased with where we're headed with that now. I did some, I can turn that disk off. There we go. So we'll just grab that out, stick this in the tail. And we can turn it high on and then switch to the capture view, which is looping back. One moment. Is that any better? Or is that echoing for you? Because I think I might be sending that through the... Oh, hello, what's going on with the capture device? Everything's broken. Yeah. Okay. Oh. Okay, I've muted it entirely. Goodness. This is typical, isn't it? Let's just go and fiddle with the capture device a second, because something's not right there. Well, I've just noticed that the capture device is not actually displaying anything new or interesting on the screen. How did that happen? Okay, well, we'll have to do this. We'll just pull it, unplug it, and reconnect it. Okay, now you can hear me again. Pulse audio is great, isn't it? It's great when it works, and then something like that happens. Boy, okay. What you will have noticed, Popey, you remember when we had that whole kerfuffle with what turned out to be a dodgy USB adapter, audio adapter, when we were doing the Ubuntu podcast finale, and we had to ask you to leave and reboot. I now know how to make these repairs whilst the stream is going. It's a skill I learned just a few days ago. I'd often wondered what studio mode was for, and that's exactly it. So in studio mode, you can go in and fix stuff whilst, it's all gone wrong, and you don't have to, display black screens and all the rest of it. Anyway, I'm glad I'm back. I am confused that did what it did, but okay. Right then, so here we are. We're at the OEM setup. So let's bring up this keyboard here for the Pi, and we'll get this going, because this will take a little moment to actually do its full setup thing. So let's just get this bit going. I think this is a UK keyboard. Let's just check. Yes, that's doing the right thing. Okay, and we will join the network. Oh,
Thank
hello.
you for the follow, RLISM.
Hello there, Relesum, if that's how we pronounce it. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for the follow. In fact, we're dangerously close to the new goal here. We're aiming for 750, and we're at 746 at the moment, so this is getting quite close now. Right then, let's join the Wi-Fi here. Because what I want to do is check that the Wi-Fi that you put in here gets carried over to the sort of the install, so to speak.
Thank you for the follow, Master Noob.
Hello, Master Noob. Thank you very much for the follow. I appreciate that. Welcome. So, just Richard. Okay. Thanks very much, Richard. Hey, Henrik. How are you doing? I can't hear anything over the pipe wire blasting sweet tunes through my speakers. Is the music too loud? I can adjust that. I have buttons for that on my Stream Deck. Hopefully that's a bit more manageable. Is that all right? Oh, is that what that is? It's your last name. Okay. I go by, I've got that. Oh, you want it louder? Oh, okay. I won't make it louder, but I'll put it back where it was. I believe it was here. Hello. Welcome, Master Noob. Welcome to the stream. Thanks very much for the follow. Okay. Popey's Twitter advertising. Oh, have you posted a tweet? Cheers, Popey. Right then. So let's just get this bit kicking along, because this will take a little moment to do its sort of initial setup. Let's my password is test, by the way. Right then, so let's do that. Right, one bug I should probably fix in here is I've got the wrong splash image on the slideshow. But other than that, I'm now just taking a look at Twitter to see what Popey's up to. Oh, nice one, Popey. Okay, I'll retweet that. It's very kind of you. So also, we're going to be talking about a conversation that Popey and I had. So whilst that's running along, it's doing its thing. This will take a few minutes. Let's just switch back to this view. So I've been working on the retro remix. Last night I was intending to do a live stream where I would play a bunch of games to test it out, mostly for performance. I want to see what is reasonable for a Raspberry Pi to do at sort of the upper end of the emulation for consoles and arcade machines and stuff like that. So I didn't get round to that, because one of the things I asked a bunch of people is what games could I put together as like a sample across sort of the common platforms, the consoles, retro consoles. And it took me longer than expected to actually build like a short list of between like 50 and 100 games for each of the consoles. Some are just classics, which people will expect to work and work well, and others are sort of the more demanding titles that push those consoles to the limits. So I want to see how the performance holds up. So I've got that now. So I think tonight I'm going to be doing a live stream where I'm going to play a bunch of those across several generations of Nintendo and Sega consoles. On another occasion I'll do arcade machines and some of the beefier consoles like PlayStation and stuff like that. But Retro Remix is shaping up to be something quite special, I think. I really feel like this has got some legs now. So there's still some work to do on the integration side of things, but it works, and as best as I can tell, it works very well. But I wasn't particularly happy with the name. So Popey and I have been having a chat this morning, and we're going to give it a rename. We're going to call it Retro Home. So that will be the new name. And what I thought we could do now, whilst this install is running over here, this is still going. I thought maybe if we come over here, we could go off and put some of these changes in place now. So if I do that, we could go to the project here, the Ubuntu Retro Remix, and let's actually rename this now. So we'll make it official. This is now going to be called Retro Home. And we'll do a cheeky live edit of this. And we will change some of the text in here. And we will just call this Retro Home. So, and later tonight, what I'll do is I'll actually flesh this Retro Home. We'll drop the gaming bit there, and then we'll add something down here. Oh, Retro Home. your home for retro gaming. There we go. I think that is probably enough. I think maybe I'll drop these video links now, because that video is very old and it even talks about RetroArch, and we don't use that anymore. We use Ludo. So all of that can stay. We'll change this in the documentation. We'll keep that for the moment, and we will save those changes. So I can see there's comments. I'll come back to that in just a moment. Let's commit that directly. There we go. Retro Home Image Builder. It's officially official. And then with the other thing we can do is, can we just rename a file from in here? Let's edit this file. Copy. Maybe not. Okay, I'll do that via Git, but we will change the name of the file as well. So there we go. So we're gonna call this Ubuntu Masternoop. That's not bad, actually. Very good. Yeah, we weren't sure about keeping like the Ubuntu bit in the name, because initially when I started this project it was more of a curiosity, and it was kind of related to work at the time, because I wanted to build an Ubuntu device for retro gaming using, you know, a bunch of the technologies that we'd developed at Canonical. We were considering using Ubuntu Core, or using snaps for things, you know, and leveraging the work that we'd done to bring up the Raspberry Pi with really good hardware support on Ubuntu. But oh, you've filed a PR POP. Okay, nice one. Let me go and deal with that. Let's just review your PR. Nice. Okay, good. Let's go and get that merged. Confirm. There we go. But you know, the Ubuntu bit isn't the important bit about the project. And also I went back and I went back at the weekend. I had a go with RetroPie and Emulation Station, which is part of RetroPie, and Recallbox and Larka, and they're all good and they all get the job done, but they are nerd level, you know, stuff. Like RetroPie was great, you know, 3-4 years ago, but all of those menus that open up Ncurse's user interfaces feel a little bit dated now. And I think Ludo's got it right. I think the Ludo front end is that set-top box sort of experience that you're looking for. So I'm going to actually put my shoulder behind this and see if we can, you know, popularize this as a way to, you know, really enjoy retro gaming on Raspberry Pi, and potentially on PC as well in the future. So there we go. So Retro Home it is. Hey Rudra, how are you doing? You've created a PR to change the name of the script. Brilliant. I love this. This is fantastic. Thank you very much, Rudra. Appreciate that. Let's rebase and merge that. Of those of you that don't know, Rudra is the maintainer, developer behind the Ubuntu Unity remix. Thank you. There we go. Job. Look at that. So I think this evening I'm actually going to like flesh this out with an initial set of documentation, like try and cover the consoles that are supported and the arcade, well, not the arcade machines, but obviously arcades, and specifically which consoles are supported, and you know, a little bit of information to get people started. I'm getting to the point where I'm probably going to publish an image of Retro Home, because I think it's at a point where people can download and use it and actually like start testing it out. Oh, you're building, okay. So you're building an image for Retro, well, it will be called Retro Remix, of course, but Retro Home. Cool. Okay, well, that's great. Hello, Yannick. How are you doing there? So, hope Pimarone will have an Uber Black Friday deal so you can get the arcade kit. Okay, yes. I think you're referring to one of these. So this is on my list. So what I've been thinking about is there are things that I know Ludo aren't going to support out of the box, and this will be one of them. One of the goals of Retro Home is that you can build an image, or we can build images for specific devices. So like you can build an image and we, the community, I will do the integration work to hook up everything that works, you know, all the GPIO stuff that exists in this. And also for things like I've got a monster joystick over there with the the integrated Pi, which is a fighting stick. So I want to do all of the integration work so you can build an image for the monster joystick, but it's got all the hardware support baked in. And the same for things like the NES Pi cases, or all the retro flag cases, which have got that safe power on off switch with a GPIO and device tree overlay. So all of these things, you know, the wave share devices and the hats, so you'll be able to build the image and it has proper hardware support for all of these devices, so all the handheld gaming consoles, everything. So that's the plan. Micro HDMI to a HDMI connector broke last week. Okay, that's unfortunate. Well, I hope the replacement arrives soon. Yeah, so the Picade, and the way that I want to do this is I'm on a kind of a deadline to get like an MVP going, because I want to give my in-laws this for Christmas. So this is a 3D printed PlayStation case for the Pi that a guy in Canada makes. Oh, come on, camera. Stop trying to focus on me. And this has got working power switches and what have you. And it's, you know, sensibly got, you know, the USBs at the front so that you can plug the things in. This is because they've got my old original PlayStation 1 and they play precisely one game on it, which is Next Tetris. And the PlayStation is on its last legs. So I want to build a PlayStation version with just one game on it. And I've got some 8BitDo PlayStation-like controllers for them, so that they can, you know, start playing their game again, but also with wireless controllers. And then for the kids in the family, I've got 3 of the NES Pi mini cases, and I want to give them one of those and a controller so that they can enjoy some retro games, because you can't get modern consoles for love or money at the moment. So I thought, you know, it's for the cost of a case, which is like 15 quid, and the cost of a Raspberry Pi, which is like 20, because you don't need an expensive Pi to do the like NES and Master System and SNES and what have you. They can have one of those and you can just plug it into the telly and they can play some games. So that's the idea. And I've done some C trials with retro games with my daughter. That's proven popular. She loves them. And actually, as a result, we're 4 hours into The Secret of Monkey Island. Her and I are playing that through at the moment, which is jolly good fun. Right, let's go and see how our install's doing. So, Retro Home, that's the thing. Watch this space. Tell your friends and lovers it's coming to a screen near you soon. Right then, let's have a look. How's this doing? Oh, right, we're in the final stages of the setup, so that's good. If anything's going to fail, it's going to be this bit. So, oh, so Popey, you've got a battery in your Picade. Is this a Picade or is this different? Oh, this is the Picade as well. This is Pimarone, yeah, okay. So you've got a battery. What sort of battery have you got in yours? I've got those. I forget the model number, but I've got these massive lithium batteries in the game pack. I need to switch cameras again. In fact, I'll do the overhead camera. It might be easier. So you can probably make it out there. I've got these large lithium things, and that's for this game hat. So because of its shape, I mean, I've found out that there's a 3D print you can. In fact, Yannick, I might have to commission a 3D print from you. So this is not very ergonomic, but somebody has made like an actual like sculpted case for this rather than this, you know, sharp-edged thing. So you can take the hat piece, which is the bit with the screen and what have you, and then it's a shroud that goes around it and turns it into something a bit more like Game Gear. And I thought for this device I could put Game Gear and Atari Lynx titles on because it's most similar to, you know, that form factor. And I had both those consoles actually. So yeah, I'm hoping that would work. So maybe Yannick, and also Yannick, I was sorting out my room yesterday and I found a box and I was like, what the heck is this unlabeled box? So I had to open it. It's that microphone I said I'd send you, which I forgot to send you. So I found that yesterday. I'll get on that. I need to figure out how to send it because our post offices have all closed during lockdown around here, so I don't actually know how to do it. So 10,000 milliamp one. Oh, so you've used like a charging thing, like a phone brick, external phone brick inside the case. Is that what you're saying? Oh, here we go. Ah, nice. Okay, well that's a nice little life hack. I like that idea. I suppose you can run a USB cable into it as well. So if you want to like charge it and run it, you can do that. Well, this is encouraging. That's completed the initial setup. So let's log in with the right keyboard. My password is test, by the way. And see what we see. And Ethernet, yeah. So Ethernet's an interesting point, actually. I need to have a little conversation about that. So there we're in, and it's. You can see the thing flashing away. There's no backdrop yet. That's curious. There it is. It's got there. Okay, this is excellent. So I say this is excellent. This is good news in that it's working. And if I just turn the chat off for a moment, we can see that it has, in fact, preserved the wireless settings that we put on during install, and all of that's there. So let's do a restart. Oh. I can only do a shutdown because it was part of a OEM setup, that's right. So let's just turn that off, which is done. Oh, we'll just boot that back up again. And turn the chat back on now as well. Okay, restart. Was it? I missed it, Danny. Paging Luke needs a retro home wallpaper. So I've actually made one. If you look in the build script, it downloads the grayscale 2004 wallpaper with no mascot, and then composites the now Retro Home logo over the top of it. And because Retro Home is built on top of Ludo, I've used the feature in the greeter, this screen that we're looking at now. You can actually overlay a logo down here. So I've overlaid the Ludo logo down here as a little hat tip to, you know, that project and the work that they've done to make all of this possible. Right, so second boot onwards, it should be performing much better. And this is the 64-bit version. Say Ludo logo fast 10 times. I'll let you experiment with that. Right then. So that's good. Let's just have a quick look at some stuff. Let's do that. We'll just turn the chat off for a moment. We'll do NeoFetch. Okay, so all of that checks out. Did update the firmware on this the other day. Very crude, so 622. So I think something is still being initialized in the background here, because that's a bit higher than I expected, but okay. Right, well, we're good. I consider that a successful test of this image boot. So I think we'll shut that off. And we come back to the code view. Oh, what am I doing here? I've managed to push some random buttons. How did I do that? Oh. Okay. What I should see is whether or not this build has finished. It's still going. Oh, it's in the late stages because this is the kernel configuration. So this is an ARMHF image. So I don't think I'll test this image on the live stream because it's not very exciting to watch the long amount of pausing that it does. But I think I'll give this a smoke test, and if that checks out, I'll get those uploaded and update the download pages. Someone should make Ubuntu Dark TE. What's that? What's that then? So Linux Paul has tried the Ludo logo challenge. The light theme just burned my eyes. Yeah, I know Linux Paul here loves the light theme. I kept the light theme as default. In fact, that's something I'll be doing soon. I chatted to the Yaru team, actually it was the end of last week, and one of the Yaru team has very graciously synced up 8 months of changes in the Yaru project to the Mate version of the theme, which I am deeply grateful for, because I just didn't have the time to, well, I could have made the time, but there are these other projects now that I'm sort of invested in and interested in developing and working on, and I'm spread a bit tight, so they've really sort of bailed me out there. So I will be testing that new theme and getting that packaged up for what will become 2204 for the Jammy release. So there's a few Mate desktop related things I'll be working on toward the end of the week, but right now the thing I'm most excited about is Retro Remix. I've done that thing where I forgot to turn the chat back on. So final stage of the build murders the CPU. Yeah, that exit. So actually I should probably, you can comment out in the script, you know, whether you want that compression, because you don't, that compression bit is purely to upload a smaller thing, but you can just use the image file, so you could comment those lines out to save yourself some cycles. I also don't bother with the hashing cycle either step, because again, maybe I should put the compression and the hashing in the same function, and then it'll be easier to comment. I'll do that. I'll change that. So Rudwa, yes, so you made the dark theme the default in Ubuntu Unity 2110. Is that because that's what Ubuntu did as well in 2110? They opted for dark by default, I think, as well, right? And the other thing I do with that XZ compression, Popey, is I instruct XZ to use every available thread and core on the system in order to do it as fast as possible. So I can't wait to get cracking on retro. I'm gonna have to get in the habit of saying retro home now. I'm really looking forward to doing that. I'm looking forward to playing some games tonight. I need to figure out how to do audio capture because my capture device at home doesn't pass the audio through particularly well. So I think I'm going to need to do a little bit of work to get that sorted. Yeah, so Danny, you're not even joking, right? My Threadripper system at home was intolerable during the summer. It got so hot, but actually now we have no central heating enabled in the upstairs of the house, because if I open the door to my office, that Threadripper system heats the upstairs of the house. And I'm not even joking. It is an impressive bit of gear, but in fact I'm not even sure it's the Threadripper, to be honest with you. I think it's the RTX 3090 that's doing it. Everything stuttered while it used 100% of all the cores. Yeah, okay. So we can tinker with that, but I'll tweak that in fact, let's take a look at it now. Let's do that now. Let's pivot to some retro remix stuff. So let's go to here, and I'm just going to move my Raspberry Pi keyboard to one side so I don't get confused and start moving the wrong thing around. So this is the image builder for Ubuntu MATE. So let's go to, well, mine is still called, in fact, let's do this. Let's actually clone this project. There we go. There we go, look at that, I've got all the latest changes from You Fine People. So if we come down the bottom here, this is the bit that builds the image. So maybe I could move the compression stage, which is here, to the hashing stage. And I could call this compress and hash. Okay. And I just copy that. Let's do that. And then I could leave that one permanently disabled, because really the only person that would ever need to run those two stages is those steps is me, if I'm preparing an image for upload. So anyone that downloads and runs the script, it will run through those 7 things which it needs to do, but then you can skip over this bit. There you go, Popey. Hopefully that's an improvement for you. So there we go. Let's have a look. Everything stuttered while it used it. Yeah, okay. And then Danny goes on to say, I get that when snappy with LexD, yeah. And Rudra says, you weren't aware that Ubuntu had gone to the dark theme as well. I think they have. I'm pretty sure they have. And you also have your own variant of Uru as well. Yeah, it looks nice. Popey, that's the only task my 5950X fears. That's what I'm running here as well at the moment. This system's a 5950X. I think it's great. Very happy with this build. I managed to get my daughter to do most of it. Right, so I think I'll just flip over to. Oh, I don't have it running, so let's fire up. Let's bring this in here. So let's go to Git Kraken. We'll now close the Retro Remix tab. We'll open a new repository and we will go to Retro Home. and we'll just commit that change there. There we go. We can stage all of that. I'm just going to do this because I find that I don't actually have enough screen to do this. Right, move image compression and hashing to the same stage. By default. Okay, there we go. Put in my signing key. I need to bring one of my what are they called? Dongle thingies into the office. Right then, there we go. We're good. That's sorted. So let's turn the chat back on. Push the right button. There we go. So doing a little bit on Retro Home there. That'll hopefully save you some cycles, Popey. Have a good meeting. Thanks for your help this morning, by the way. Cheers for that. And yeah, YubiKeys, Danny, that's what I'm referring to. I've got a couple of those now, and I need to bring one in here. So let's just take a look. Did that image finish building for ARMHF? Yes, so we have an image here as well, and that's ever so slightly smaller, which you'd expect because these slightly smaller binaries for ARMHF. So that's great. Okay. Yeah, I haven't fully set everything up with my YubiKey yet, as in I haven't got all of the different services configured, so I'm not in the habit of using it yet, but I need to set some time aside to sort of, do that. So I've got another image that I can test a bit later, and if that all checks out, then I can get those uploaded for wider testing. But I think what we'll do is we will go and find someone doing interesting things. Let's see now, what have we got here? Gosh, okay. Okay. Well, I'm not seeing anyone new, or I think we'll skip the raid today. I mean, there's this. What's this? Writing website and tools. No. So, Rudwer, that's an interesting thing you've mentioned there. If I just move back to this view. So is that the yeah, exactly. I need to so there's a couple of things. First of all, Rudra, you mentioned that you're compressing compressed testing image for Ubuntu Unity. I assume that's a PC ISO image you're referring to. Is that right? Or is it a Pi image? Paddy, yes, it is a shame that Andreas Kling doesn't stream on Twitch. That said, I do need to contact him / the project, because I want to find out if there is a way to integrate Serenity OS into QuickEmu, because I don't want to put a load. It'll be trivial to do, but it's a bit messy. Doing all of the building and compiling to produce the ISO image to run Serenity. I want to know if they've got a CI/CD pipeline somewhere that pumps out an ISO image periodically that maybe QuickEmu could hook into. I really want to get Serenity integrated into QuickEmu. So Rudra, this is for your Pi image. So how are you building your Pi images, by the way? Is it based on some of the stuff that I've posted around, or did you create your own mechanism? Is it published anywhere? not sure if Rudra got that message or not, but I'd be interested to know. Okay, I'm not seeing anything that's grabbing my attention today. So we'll. You were just typing the answer. Okay, you've heard me. Okay, cool. I'm just seeing if whilst we wait for Rudra to compose his reply, I'm just seeing if there's anything here that is speaking to me. Not. Oh, hello. What's this? That could be interesting, but that's not English. Okay. Yeah. No, we'll give that a sidestep today. Okay. Rudra, are you in my Discord server out of interest? If you're not, wimpysworld.io/Discord. There's a bunch of us hang out in there. It would be good to exchange notes. Okay, so you've written up a ghetto script based on Retro Remix. Okay, cool. That's good. So the Ubuntu MATE image builder is, well, it's kind of, I started with that, created the Retro Remix stuff based on it, improved it for Retro Remix, and then fed those changes from Retro Remix back to the Ubuntu MATE image builder. The Ubuntu MATE image builder I've never made public. This is something you might want to consider, by the way, because years ago when I used to prepare these images, I used to make a root file system without the kernel, without the Raspberry Pi kernel in it, just the root file system, and this was so other SBCs could, take that root file system, add kernel and hardware enablement, and you could run Ubuntu MATE on these devices. And that seemed like a good idea until Odroid did it, and they used to ship what they called Ubuntu on their Odroid devices, but it was this sort of bodged up Ubuntu MATE, and it caused no end of confusion within our community because people were saying they were running Ubuntu MATE and they had this problem and they had that problem, and it was because it was the Odroid version with some random kernel that they'd built, and it was all a bit of a mess and a nightmare to deal with. So consequently, I've never published the Ubuntu MATE build script since, for years now. Not because I don't want to share it, but because I didn't want the likes of Odroid to did what they'd done in the past. So just be aware of that could happen. But the now Retro Home image builder script, I think it's fairly clear, like where you would say, this is the bit where I could install insert name of, desktop environment to build your own images. So I'm quite happy for that one to be out there as like a bit of reference material. I think it's a pretty solid build process. But you've switched to a builder based on Budgie's Pi builder. Okay, so what's their builder based on, out of interest? Do you know?
Thank you for the follow, The Real Elroy Jetson. Wow.
Welcome to the stream, The Real Elroy Jetson. That is a fantastic username. Thanks for stopping by. We're just discussing so I maintain one of the official flavors of Ubuntu MATE, and Rudra, who's here in the chat, maintains the Ubuntu Unity Remix, which I think you're still hoping to make that an official flavor at some point. Is that right, Rudra? And we're just comparing notes on how we're doing some things. Still no sound. Shameless self-promotion for all the tinkerers and hackers present December the 14th and on Ubuntu On Air. Yannick will have Andrea Raihi, is that how we pronounce that, as my guest, and we'll build a small Linux kernel. Nice. Okay, so that's an ad for Ubuntu On Air on December the 14th. That's 3 weeks away. Yeah, and you're still shooting for official flavor status. Good for you. Good for you. Do you think you'll get there for 2204? Oh well, if we're self-promoting. Hello, Danny. Don't waste any time. So Danny is promoting their app Ubuntu accomplishments. Let's go and take a look at that actually. Let's go here. Can I install and do this thing? So I've just clicked the link and it looks like this. And this is it fair to call it a revival of something that previously existed and then bit rot? So this is Danny's Ubuntu accomplishments. Yes, it's a revival. And well, you can read the description here. It's a way to sort of progress through some well, they are accomplishments, some sort of criteria of involvement in the Ubuntu community, like for example signing the code of conduct. So this is fantastic. I must install. Let's install it now. How hard can it be? So it looks like I've got to turn on an experimental feature. Golly gosh, wow. How exciting. So let's just copy that and do that here. Hang on, this is a different machine. So let's do that. Okay, so I've done that bit and it's called, what's the actual snap name? Ubuntu accomplishments. Okay. Okay, is that what we need? There we go. Let's get this installed. And I'll actually see if I can tick off some accomplishments, because I have a couple. I'm pretty sure I have a couple. So yes, Andariwa, I noticed that because the original was Python and you've migrated it all to Flutter and Dart. Experimental feature, all the things. Absolutely. So let's snap. Well, in fact, let's accomplishment. So I've got a launcher in my menus. I've just started it up. I wonder if it's appeared off screen somewhere. Oh, I'm not sure that worked. So let's right, Danny, I'm going to point you at what you need to do here. This is because I've got an NVIDIA GPU, and I can show you how to resolve this. One mini moment. I will bring up the thread where I spent some considerable time figuring out how to overcome this issue. So forum.snapcraft.io, am I going to be able to find this without logging in? Might be that one. It definitely started here. So it started with this conversation. So Tamas works at Plex, and he's the maintainer of Plex, and he publishes the Plex Snap. And he ran into some difficulties, and then he said, actually, we're having the conversation here. This is where the conversation's going on. And in this thread here, Danny, I'll put the thread in the chat here for you. You will find towards the end of this a number of solutions that we tried out. I tried all of them, and the simplest one that I came up with as working for me was based on this comment from Alan Griffiths, which was to drop the snap library path out of the LD library path. So that will fix it for NVIDIA users. It's specifically an NVIDIA thing. But there's all the write-up, and you can see what I did, why I did it, why it worked. I don't know if that conversation's rolled on anymore since. So it looks like they're making changes. Yeah, this was my final solution, in fact, here. And I don't know if there's been any more. Let's just out of interest. This was then some deeper discussion about why this problem has manifested itself. So anyway, there you go. There you go, Danny. It's a trivial fix if you've got a launcher or if you create one. And it looks like there. So here's a whole bunch of snaps that are going to be affected by this. This was the problem, is that this is pretty it's going to be a big problem for people to deal with. So anyway, the conversation has been rolling on. I'll have to catch up with that later because it looks like there's some interesting stuff in there. Yeah, so the issue here is that it actually places a link to a host library. Snapd is the mediator, and Snapd bind mounts to the NVIDIA drivers on the host, and it puts that library path to libgl, the libgl loader, from the host at the front of the LD library path for the snap. And that's got an ABI incompatibility now. And in actual fact, the reason it's there is because of the days when that loader didn't work correctly. And so you can actually drop it out now. You don't need it in the library path. So that's what's going on there. Is actually the fix is don't use the workaround that loads from the host. Only load from within the snap. And so my fix is to just use within the snap. Anyway, there's plenty of info there about that. So, well, that was good. Sorry that it didn't work for me, Danny. But at least I was able to do some live testing, and I knew what the problem was. So hopefully that's that's at least a positive. Right. Okay. Well, I think it's a good time to wrap up there. I'm going to be streaming tonight. I definitely want to stream tonight. It will be UK time around 9 o'clock, 9:30, so 10 o'clock, 10:30 European time, and I am going to be taking what is now Retro Home out for sea trials. I've got a bunch of games. I think I've got close to 500 games. So I've got thousands of games, but I've got a short list of about 500, like the most popular games across the most common retro consoles. I'm not going to play all of them, but I'm going to pick some of those and put it through its paces and make sure it performs well. And if it does, then we'll move on to phase 2, which is to start integrating hardware support in the build process for things like this, and building out the arcade cabinet and some of the other hardware projects, and integrating the hardware enablement into that process. So we'll actually move away from, working on this kind of nifty device, which is, a very nice case for the Pi, but it doesn't look very retro or console-y. So we'll start moving away from that to working on devices that are a bit more like this and a bit more, what we're aiming for. So that's the plan. Sorry, that's a rotten time for you, Rudra. I try and do these in the morning, to catch people where this is a convenient time, and then later at night, because none of the people in America can watch them at this time of day, not unless they're insomniacs anyway. But thanks very much for stopping by, Rudra. I enjoyed that chat. That was helpful. Thank you. and Yannick's now got sound again. Good. Well, Yannick, it's a good job you got sound, because you can hear me say goodbye. we're gonna put a bow on it there. Thanks very much, everyone, for stopping by. Hopefully you'll be able to join me later. We'll do some retro gaming, and I need to go off and speak to the nice people at Atom and figure out why everything has been broken to hell for the last 2 days. because that won't do. Right. Thank you, everyone. I will hopefully see you later. And if not, I'll probably be doing something here, similar sort of time tomorrow. So with that, bye for now. Thanks very much for coming.